Hello, our presentation is on team processes and multi-team systems. Our team consists of Lauren Kirschman, Chao Ching Yang, Joe Niels, Clark Beller, and Shay Compton. The main research article we based our presentation on is A Temporal-Based Framework and Taxonomy of Team Processes by Stephen Zucchero, Michelle Marks, and John Matthew. The two key principles from Dr. Zucchero's research on team processes that our presentation is focusing on are a recurring phase model of team processes and a taxonomy of team processes. A lot of prior research on models of team effectiveness focused on team processes, but this research didn't result in a unified model of what team processes are and how they operate during team goal accomplishment. Past research in this area was based on an individual task using a typical input, process, outcome, or IPO framework. The following animation illustrates the simplicity of this model. This research article defines a much more complicated model called the recurring phase model of team processes. This model has several key components. First, it describes the influence of time on teams. It argues teams are engaged in the pursuit of multiple goals simultaneously. This creates an environment where members are engaged in a complex sequence of interdependent tasks that make up a larger project. Next, this model is based on the idea that teams perform in temporal cycles of goal-directed activity called episodes. These episodes are distinguishable periods of time where performance occurs and feedback is available. Team performance typically consists of several IPO-type episodes that run sequentially and simultaneously. Finally, this model introduces the idea that each team task consists of identifiable periods or phases of action and transition periods between these action phases. To illustrate how this recurring phase model represents team processes, we show a short animation of this model. The recurring phase model of team processes becomes even more complicated when it takes into consideration that multiple tasks can be occurring simultaneously. So how can we apply these two key principles to real work environments? The recurring phase model can be used for team evaluation. First, crucial processes can be identified by using this model. Then you can evaluate teams on their ability to perform each of these crucial processes. This helps to determine teamwork strengths and weaknesses. This can then be used to create team customized feedback, interventions, development, and training. So with this model, you don't have some generic team building intervention. So for example, teams in constant discord can get conflict management skills, and then teams that depend on backup behavior can get training in team monitoring and coaching. The recurring phase model could be used for time-sensitive team task analysis to determine what feedback should be available to teams at different points in time. Feedback about a shift in team strategy should be presented during transition phases, and action phase feedback should pertain largely to monitoring team progress, systems, members, and coordination.
The second principle that we will discuss from team process is the taxonomy. This includes 10 processes rolled under 3 different categories that can be used across a gamut of different teams. While the researchers did find that there are many different processes that can apply to specific teams, this can kind of be used in any team possible and just kind of slid it in there to be used. So the first phase of the taxonomy of team processes is the transition phase with its 3 processes, and these are used when a team is focusing primarily on evaluation or planning to guide to the goal or objective. And these do analysis and evaluation and give the future direction and help orient the team. The action phase is when teams are conducting activities that actually lead directly to the goal accomplishment, actually make the goal happen. So you have your systems monitoring, which uses an internal systems and external systems, and with like the environment to use technology to work towards their goal. Or you have the coordinating activities, which orchestrate that timing of the various different processes. You then have the interpersonal phase, which happens during both the transition and action phase. And these help kind of manage relationships And you have your conflict management, which is preemptive or reactive, depending on what's happened in a team. And these help both during and then after all the phases.
The taxonomy of team processes could be used for team selection and placement. Selection and placement should be based on a set of team competencies or KSAOs. The taxonomy supports several practical ideas. First, don't look for uniform teamwork skills. Second, ask what teamwork skills are necessary at what stages of the team cycle. Keep in mind some members are better suited for strategy development processes, some for action phase teamwork activities, and some for interpersonal processes.
During Dr. Zaccaro's lecture on multi-team systems, our group recognized the importance of the forces within a multi-team system, which include confluent forces, emergent states, and countervailing forces. Defined simply, confluence is flowing together. Confluence can describe the multi-level forces and dynamics that emerge within the team and interdependently between teams in an MTS. It is important to recognize confluent forces and nurture them to create a successful MTS. It has been proven that confluence can yield greater outputs over groups that do not portray confluent forces. Countervailing influences in an MTS occurs when component team processes and emergent states are negatively related within a team, between teams, or at the MTS level as a whole. According to Dr. Zaccaro's lecture, many of the factors that contribute to effective team processes within teams may create difficulties in coordination between teams. For example, cohesion can build a strong individual team that is capable of high-level production within the confines of the group. These high levels of cohesion can be detrimental at the MTS level. This has been seen when a cohesive team is unable to work with groups due to various factors such as a superiority complex that has been developed within the team.
The team process taxonomy not only can occur on the individual team level, but it can also occur between teams in a multi-team system. A real-world example of this is a customer after a car accident, and the goal is to make them whole. And this involves the body shop repairing their vehicle, the insurance company paying for the claim, and enterprise to provide a rental car during the process. When the multi-team system transition processes and the multi-team system action processes are all flowing together nicely between the teams, you get confluent forces. And if you have confluent forces, this is going to increase the performance of the multi-team system. When there are confluent forces, the transition processes between teams are running smoothly. They have the overarching goal of giving the customer a great customer experience, and their goals are aligned. And the ideal situation for a strategy formulation with deliberate planning would be for them to have planned in advance that the insurance company already has the information to the body shop and enterprise, and the enterprise is there to pick that customer up at the time of their estimate. When there are confluent forces, the teams should each be working together on the action processes, for example, making adjustments if the car is taking longer to repair on all of their reservations and scheduling. And systems monitoring with the environment is also important. For example, if there is a large snowstorm, it is important for each of these teams to understand each individual business, because it's very possible in a snowstorm that enterprise might not have a car for a couple of weeks, that the insurance company may be swamped with claims, and that the body shop might be behind on repairs for up to 2 months. And so sometimes when that happens, you do have to do some backup behavior. If a customer does arrive at the body shop, you might go give that customer a ride home and come back and get them when you have more cars, just so you can help your team member out by not having that person sit in their body shop waiting. Now sometimes you'll have countervailing forces, and this occurs when one team might be focusing too much on cohesion, for example, in their own individual team, that they fail to miss the whole big picture of the multi-team system. And a good business example would be if something goes wrong in the multi-team system, if one business blames another business in order to save face, this is disadvantageous to the whole multi-team system, because what will happen is you're missing the overarching goal of giving that customer a good customer experience. And so ultimately it's going to make the whole multi-team system perform ineffectively because of that one team focusing on themselves.